Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. After this first week of 3v3, I wanted to release a video kind of talking about each of the Galactic Legends and how they rank in terms of 3v3 Grand Arena. The ranking in 3v3 Grand Arena is very different in my opinion. This will not take into consideration any current datacrons that make the GLs better and or worse. This is just in general how I view each of the GLs in terms of their 3v3 performance. So let's get in here, let's talk about it. Let's give our shout to our channel members as always. Thank you guys for kind of just giving me weekends off lately, even though you don't have a choice. Thank you guys for it. You know, I really need to post just kind of an update on life and what's going on. In a bit more detail for particularly my channel members, so you guys know what's going on. But thank you for the support. Really appreciate it, guys. Let's get in here. Let's talk about 3v3 GAC. Alright, so Grand Arena in 3v3 is one of the most frustrating things ever. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's no sandbox mode. You don't get to test anything unless you come up against an opponent like this where you know you're just going to get absolutely spanked. So there's no, you just kind of try a bunch of stuff out and move on with life. But, you know, it is kind of one of those things where it just isn't worth the headache for a lot of people to learn that stuff. So you fall down in 3v3 and you rise in 5v5. But for those of you who really want that, you know, steady crystal income between 3v3 and 5v5, here's kind of the listing of the GLs. We'll talk about where they rank and then the best teams to use and why. So let's start with the best two here in my opinion, which is Rey and Leia. They're the best two Galactic Legends. The unique thing with them is that they're the best for two different reasons. For Rey, it's completely around her ultimate ability. Rey's ultimate deals damage and it's split among the enemy team. So that split, what they're saying is if there are 6 enemies, say you're going with Geonosians for some reason and you've got 6 of them alive, Rey uses her ultimate, and let's say that ultimate deals 600,000 damage. Each Geonosian will take 100,000 damage. That is the way that's what that means. It's going to be split equally amongst those 6 Geonosians. Let's say there's only 5. Each of them now has to take 120,000. Oh, you only have 3. Every single one of them has to take 200,000. So what gets harder with Rey in 3v3 is the ultimate dealing more damage to each unit. It's not that the ultimate actually does more damage. It's still the same 600,000, just there's less characters to split between it. Kind of like the opposite of Zam, where Zam gains bonuses based on the number of characters in her squad. With Rey, she's saying, hey, this is going to deal more damage because there's less of you around. With Leia, it's completely because of the way her team was designed. We'll get into her team design, but she's the first Galactic Legend where she was designed with 2 other characters in mind, and then the other 4th and 5th slots are kind of optional. There's a lot of things you can do there. Her, much better design. So those 2 are the best in 3v3. Jedi Master Kenobi gains value in my opinion, but there's kind of an asterisk here that it's not so much that he gains value because he gets better. He just doesn't lose as much as other Galactic Legends do. So I still think Kenobi loses a good part of his team because the best team for him has Commander Tano, and then it's got Snips and General Kenobi, right? Those are kind of your 4, and then that 5th slot is kind of always open for debate. You know, there's all different things you can put there. But he normally ends up losing Snips. Again, we'll go into more detail there. But everybody else loses far more significance than what he ends up losing. Then we get to Jaba and JML, and both of these characters lose value in 3v3. I think the biggest reason they lose value is because they lose their ability to really consistently contend with Jedi Master Kenobi. Not for Jedi Master Luke, it's on offense. For Jaba, he does not pose as big of a threat to Kenobi defensively. And that's a big problem because Jedi Master Kenobi can be a very valuable weapon on offense or defense. But the bigger thing with them as well is they lose those 4th, because they only have 3 characters in their team. Their ultimates are very much dependent on calling, you know, on other people in their team taking turns, right? With Jaba, he gains 3% ultimate whenever an ally with my kind of scum starts their turn or uses a special. And if an ally with my kind of scum defeats an enemy, Jaba uses his basic, he gains 6%. So when there's more characters, it's easier for Jabba to gain that ultimate a lot faster because you think, starting their turn or using a special ability. So like you start your turn and use a special, there's 6% ultimate charge right there for, that he's missing out on. With JML, it's because of his leadership with inherited teachings, right? Every time somebody uses it, it's 8%. When there's not as many characters, there's not as many instances of people who can use that ability. So you just, again, a little bit harder to gain those stacks as quickly. They lose that value of being consistent Kenobi killers for JML on offense, for Jabba on defense. There's things you can do, but overall, I do believe they lose that value. And honestly, like JML can easily handle Jabba in 3v3. I've done it quite a few times. JML absolutely loses value going up against Rey because, again, that ultimate gonna delete your side character. So yeah, they lose value. Then we've got Lord Vader and Sith Eternal, who it's just kind of more of the same. I don't think they gain or lose value in 3v3. I feel they're pretty consistent. There's things they do better against and things they do worse against. I think they gain as much as they lose. They kind of just maintain their spot in the hierarchy. Kylo is the one who completely changes, in my opinion. We'll talk more in detail for these guys, but Kylo completely changes the way he operates in 3v3 versus 5v5. And he can honestly get up here into a tier where he kind of doesn't belong, but he gets there because of his versatility. So let's get into the teams here. Obviously with Leia, it's R2 and Drogan. This is what I mean by she's so good in 3v3 because her kit was designed with R2-D2 in mind, and Drogan's kit was designed with Leia in mind. So they work wonders together. This is the best composition for Leia, hands down. And that's why I said those 4th and 5th slots for her don't matter, because of how powerful these two are. Drogan even has an Omicron that helps. He has a lot of synergy with Leia. Again, I could go on and on, but you kind of get the picture. This is not a team where they think of like Snips and General Kenobi, where they kind of fit in with Jedi Master Kenobi because of how they wrote his kit. Like, they literally designed this dude with her in mind. And they designed her with this guy in mind and gave him significant upgrades in her kit. So there's a design feature here that is missing in some of those other Galactic Legends. With Rey, you kind of have this, I call it 3rd slot open. So you have to use an if statement. If you have Ben Solo, your 3rd slot is available. If you don't have Ben Solo, then your 2nd slot has to be JTR, and then your 3rd slot opens up. So you have to use one of these two, and of course, if you have Ben, it's always him. Otherwise, you're going to use JTR. That 3rd slot can be JTR, it can be Cal, it can be Enfys Nest with her Datacron right now. I've seen L3, I've seen Shorty, Barriss, Holdo. Like, that 3rd slot is really, really open. Rey is that light side Galactic Legend. You can put a variety of characters here to good effect. This is one of those characters, why she's so good. Again, that ultimate really hurts, especially because in her ultimate, light side allies receive, the damage they receive is reduced to 1. So you can't even damage these characters while she's in ultimate stance, and yet they can deal all the damage to you. And why that's such a problem, think about someone like Ben Solo. Let's say he somehow gets off his AoE while she's in ultimate, and then he deals massive damage to all of you because he's juiced. And then Rey comes in with her ultimate and can kill people very quickly. It's very, very difficult to always explain it that way, but it really causes problems. You let her gain a little bit too much mastery, that ultimate ramps up damage-wise, and you just falter. Recently, I've been using Enfys Nest, but a lot of times I do like Cal Kestis as that 5th. I think it does add, or that 3rd, does add an element of surprise to the team. Now, for Jedi Master Kenobi, your best team is right here. Kenobi, Cat, General Kenobi, that's the best team. Obviously, there's the Eth Koth and Plo Koon Datacrons right now, both of which are very good. I'm not sure if one of them is going to be better on offense, defense with him, or if it's smarter to just keep using Kenobi as is and use these two in a Kelleran Beck and Qui-Gon Jinn team. We're just not sure yet. Regardless, this is a team to watch out for. Again, a lot of its counters, Jaba and JML, lose that value in 3v3 because they don't have the ability to do certain things. Like Jaba loses the Dispel, JML losing extra characters to charge that ultimate, and it just gets a lot harder to defeat these guys here. And again, with Datacrons, I mean, this dude just gets so hard to beat in 3v3. It's not funny. With Jaba, I feel this is pretty self-explanatory. It's Jaba, Cursant, and Leia. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That is the best team for 3v3 GAC, whether you're going on offense or defense. The biggest problem, again, you're missing a lot of damage here between Skiffguard Lando and Embo. You know, Embo being that Dispel, he can take Tenacity up off of Kenobi to land more thermal detonators, so Leia can use her. It's very, very difficult to fully see just how much he loses, but against the Kenobi team, it gets obvious, right? But it's still a great, defensive team. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But offensively, these guys are still very, very good, particularly when there's certain Datacrons around. They can beat some tough teams. And honestly, Jaba can even probably solo some stuff if you're smart. Now, JML. These are the best characters to use with him, but it really depends on the team you're going up against. I've used Hermit Yoda a lot. He's normally in that team. And then the, third slot kind of open. It does have to be a Jedi. You use one of those three when you're going up against another Galactic Legend a lot of times because you need one of their abilities to do something. I would argue in 3v3, Cal and Jedi Master Luke really benefit the most from each other because you do get that insta-kill. So going up against a Commander Tano type, in a Jedi Master Kenobi team, depending how they charge their ultimate and everything, what your Datacrons are, you might be able to get Cat out of the picture with your Cal Kestis, but it's a bit more challenging. And there you might even want Revens. Like, it just gets very expensive. But the nice thing with Jedi Master Luke in 3v3 is that there are some really good uses there are some good teams you can use to even beat like Lord Vader still consistently. Again, they can beat Jabba with you definitely need Cal for that, but there's ways that you can beat some high level teams just with basic Jedi. I shouldn't say basic, but with good Jedi. Sith Eternal, I mean, look, Watt, Armor, Babysitters, whoever you want. Arguably his best use in 3v3 sometimes is just to solo non-Galactic Legend teams. I think he loses a lot of value because he can't compete against some of those Galactic Legends where he needs armor and Watt and double tanking. But he gains it against a lot of the non-Galactic Legend teams because they don't have as many characters. Think about, his linking ability. You're going to link 2 characters. Well, in 5v5, that still leaves 3 people who can critically hit Sith Eternal Emperor. But in 3v3, it's only 1 character, and oftentimes in any team, you can pick the one that you do not care whether or not they critically hit you. So it gets a lot easier to use him in 3v3. You can really use him as that solo with a lot less doubt that you're going to get absolutely walloped at the start of a battle or whenever they get assists. Next, we've got Lord Vader, and this is a situation of chess versus checkers, right? You really just have to ask yourself what you are and aren't willing to use, or what you are and aren't willing to give your Lord Vader up for. Using Vader, Maul, Thrawn, again, Bo-Katan will kind of own this team no matter what, unfortunately, but I'm okay to give up Bo-Katan to this. So I may as well throw in a team that potentially stops the Fennec Bounty Hunter counter, but allows Bo-Katan, because like this, Bo-Katan will eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Royal Guard, again, they'll do the same thing, but here, when you put Thrawn in this team, you kind of potentially stop a Bounty Hunter counter, because depending who Thrawn fractures, it's a 50-50 shot of him fracturing Fennec, your Beskar Armor Mando, your OG Mando, the list could go on, and him fracturing somebody like Beskar Armor Mando could basically end your run if you have Maul in the team. But without Royal Guard, you can just go straight for Thrawn or straight for Maul, and it goes south fast. That is the one downside to not having a tank. That's one of the big reasons I say he loses that value is without that tank, there's some teams that much more easily deal with him. However, why he maintains his status in 3v3 as a great Galactic Legend is because you can bring him on offense without Maul, beat a lot of things, but more than that, still defensively, he gets a lot of really good holds due to people underestimating him. And another thing that I think he does really well is you say, oh, well, Bo-Katan beats him, and, you know, the Fennec Bounty Hunters, again, Fennec isn't as consistent as people think, but, like, the Bo-Katan team, I'll gladly give up Bo-Katan and Lord Vader. Bo's got a lot of other things that she can do that you're kind of willing to give it up for this, right? There comes that point where you're trading a counter one for the other, and, you know, certain Galactic Legends will struggle more against Lord Vader in 3v3 than they will 5v5. The last one here is Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So he completely changes because he turns into a real dark side Galactic Legend. This guy just really turns into a real dark side Galactic Legend. Whether you're going to put Malicos, you can use him as the straight First Order, but you can also use him with Malicos as a dark side unaligned Force user, because Malicos doesn't discount you if you're a Galactic Legend, where Starkiller does. It's one of the reasons I love Malicos more than Starkiller in this game, because Malicos can be used with a Galactic Legend and not get penalized. But there's also my favorite cheese with Old Daka and Night Sister Zombie. Kylo can give Zombie permataunt, and you can go up against teams like even Lord Vader, who don't have the ability to ignore taunt, and you can potentially win with this team because they get stuck behind Zombie. Similar thing with Darth Malgus. Kylo just can really move up in the world because of this cheese. I've even seen this and have used this to beat Jedi Master Kenobi in 3v3. Again, with a Gear 12 Zombie, it's a lot harder now that Datacrons are here, but pre-Datacrons, I was able to do this with consistency. This is kind of my breakout for the GLs in terms of offense, defense, you know, and then flex. I think it's pretty consistent, 3v3 to 5v5. Just your flex options basically means you can put them either way, and they're not going to lose all that much. I think Leia and Kenobi are great on offense. I think they're great on defense. It's really what's in your account and what are you trying to counter. If you're going up against players who have significantly better crons, a lot of times better to bring more on offense compared to when you have better ones, you bring them on defense. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.